Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're going to look at artificial intelligence through a completely different, deeply human lens. Instead of picturing a cold, calculating machine, what if we looked at AI as a new kind of fire? Literally, a fire that desperately needs a human spark to keep it from burning out of control. We're exploring this really fascinating perspective today, and it's actually inspired by a grandfather's sacred legacy letter to his children. It perfectly frames how we, especially older generations, can actually train AI with our own lived wisdom. Let's dive right in.
To really get a grip on how to guide AI, we need a quick roadmap. So here's our agenda for today. 1. The new Prometheus dilemma. 2. The youth bias in AI. 3. Bridging the wisdom gap. 4. Losing our local maps. 5. Who owns AI's future? And finally, 6. Tending the human flame. Okay, let's get started.
Section 1. The new Prometheus dilemma. Igniting the spark of connection.
To really understand this spark, we need to look at Mike Hughes Hayes. He's the founder of the AI Super Campus. Now, Mike isn't just researching AI in some lab, he's using it in a profoundly personal way. He's writing legacy letters to his children, Joe, Rick, and Megan, basically passing down his entire lifetime of experience. You see, Mike spent years working right in the thick of the cutting-edge high-tech machinery at the NBC TV and Radio network in New York. He was constantly surrounded by cables, microphones, and airwaves connecting millions of people. But he had this great realization back then, and it applies absolutely perfectly to AI today. He realized the technology itself was just a pipeline. The real magic? That was the spark of human connection actually traveling through it.
And that beautifully illustrates what Mike calls the Prometheus dilemma. Just like that old myth of Prometheus bringing fire to humanity, we've essentially picked up a powerful new fire in the form of artificial intelligence. But here's the absolutely crucial point. The fire itself is totally neutral. If we're careless with it, well, it can isolate us, make the world cold, and spread misinformation like wildfire. But if we guide it with human dignity, warmth, and wise, loving hearts, we can actually direct it to create empathy, healing, and profound education. It's a huge responsibility, but the choice is entirely ours.
Section 2. The youth bias in AI. The map versus the territory.
Have you ever heard that famous phrase by the scholar Alfred Korzybicki? The map is not the territory. Think of it like this. A paper map of Paris can definitely get you to the Eiffel Tower, right? But it can't make you smell the fresh bakeries or hear the chatter at a little corner cafe. Well, right now, AI is just a map. It's built on fast, digital transactional data. But the territory? The territory is real life. It's messy, it's beautiful, it's complex, and it literally requires decades of survival and lived experience to truly understand. So mistaking this sterile AI map for the actual rich human territory, that is incredibly dangerous.
And to put that into perspective, think about the number 29. The data training these massive AI systems comes largely from the internet, right? And the internet is overwhelmingly dominated by younger creators. In fact, the average age of those creators is just 29 years old. So what happens? This creates a massive youth bias in our technology. Sure, it's a brilliant collection of data, but it's entirely missing the nuanced terrain of a long human life. It completely lacks that deep, hard-earned wisdom.
Section 3. Bridging the wisdom gap. The role of slow knowledge.
So, how do we fix this? Well, the analog generation must become the human firewall. This is pretty much the ultimate solution to that youth bias we just talked about. There's this urgent, massive mission right now to get active adults and seniors to start sharing their voices online. Because by doing so, they're actually retraining AI. They're stepping up to be that essential firewall between pure, cold, transactional data and true human wisdom.
Let's break down how this actually works in practice. First up, preserving 20th century analog history. Think about it. If a grandparent doesn't put their memories online, the AI scrapers are never going to find them. And that history? It just vanishes forever. Gone. Furthermore, seniors naturally act as a human firewall against automated AI crime and scams. I mean, they've watched communication evolve from party line telephones all the way to smartphones, so they possess this incredible built-in intuition to spot deception. Finally, by actively sharing their stories, they literally teach AI systems patience and empathy. They provide what Mike calls slow knowledge. That's the deep wisdom you only gain by surviving economic shifts, raising kids, and navigating decades of complex family dynamics. Algorithms just naturally lack that.
Section 4. Losing our local maps. The shift in shared reality.
Now, to really grasp the big picture here, we need to look at how communities have historically shared information, and how algorithms have completely flipped the territory we all live in. Back in the mid-20th century, our maps were literal and local. We're talking town newspapers and AM radio. And because everyone was reading the exact same local stories, we had a shared local reality. That meant really high conversational trust. You might completely disagree with your neighbor on a solution, but you at least agreed on the basic facts. But then, moving into the early 21st century and present day, we traded those tangible, shared local maps for digital hypermaps. We are now being guided by social media algorithms that quite literally profit off speed and division. So if we want to use AI for good, we desperately need to reclaim that local history and weave it back into these modern tools.
Section 5. Who owns AI's future? AI data as a public resource.
Now let's zoom out and look at the political and economic landscape. Specifically, let's neutrally break down the mechanics of a major legislative proposal highlighted in our source material, Senator Bernie Sanders' proposed AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act. The mechanism here is a proposed one-time 50% equity tax on top AI labs, like OpenAI and Anthropic. But a key detail here, it would be paid in stock, not cash. As for governance, the government would actually secure board seats at these major companies. And the beneficiaries? The idea is that the financial gains would be paid directly back to the American public. Whether you agree with the bill or not, it represents a profound shift in narrative. The core argument here is that AI is being built on a public resource, far more valuable than oil, the accumulated knowledge, creativity, and labor of mankind. Think about that for a second. This completely shifts the conversation. We're moving from seeing AI as just a private tech tool built by a bunch of 29-year-olds in Silicon Valley to the concept of AI as a collective human right. The argument basically goes, if AI is fundamentally trained on all of our shared past, then everyone deserves a stake in its future.
Section 6. Tending the Human Flame. Human Dignity in the Digital Age.
So how do we practically bring all of this back to its emotional core? Back to the advice Mike gives his own kids and the personal responsibility we all hold? Well, Mike advice is practicing what he calls conversational intelligence. Step 1. Talk to AI tools naturally. Just use your authentic voice and vulnerabilities. Don't be robotic with it. Step 2. Keep your conversations grounded in local, human-scale reality. This keeps us from getting totally lost in that digital hypermap we talked about. And step 3, crucially, use that conversational intelligence to look out for one another. Teach your kids and your grandkids to spot AI scams and just lift each other up. Because remember, at the end of the day, people support what they help build.
All of this leaves us with a really critical question to ponder. How will you ensure your own slow knowledge and human intuition are passed down to tend this new digital fire? The future isn't just something that happens to us, It's a dynamic dialogue, and we are actively participating in it right now. So don't let technology dictate your worth. Share your stories, share your slow knowledge, and be that spark that guides the machine. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it sparks some great ideas for you today.